Record video. I'm not seeing my video. That's the right one. Okay. Why can't I see my own video though? Enable draw, mute. Why am I not seeing my own video? Stream preview. Hide video preview. I don't want to show video preview. You can't see my lap right now, kiddo. You can see mommy share. Oh, that's why. Allow access. Alright. Now that appears to be working. If anyone who's watching this can say hi, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Can you hear me okay? I had a weird pop-up on my screen. Heyo. Alright, if you can hear me, just say hi, or hello, or I can hear you. I just appreciate it real quick. Someone say hi. Alright. I'm going to assume you can hear me. Thank you. Perfect, Josh. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. I passed my check ride today. So we are going to do a simple flight. Thank you. We're going to do a flight from Vegas to LA. Vegas to LA, Airbus 321. Nothing crazy. Just an easy flight. Do it in real time. It's about an hour flight and change. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. And I'll do everything in real time, as real as possible. If you have any questions, fire away. I haven't decided if I'm going to put this on TikTok or not. I don't want to be distracted by the TikTok questions, but some people who might want to watch me might be on TikTok, so we'll see. But when I first get to the aircraft, right now I'm only on Twitch. I'm not going to be on TikTok. First get to the aircraft. In real life, I go through the logbook, make sure nothing's broken in the logbook, nothing open write-ups that are in the logbook. Coming up here, making sure my battery voltage is good. Both batteries are on, and I know that because I get some warning lights up here, or some caution lights that are normal. Caution lights are good. When this green light on the external power means the external power is good. Sometimes the external power is plugged in, but it's not the right voltage. It is not good power. Power up, everything starts coming up. All the screens start coming up. And this airplane, again, this Toliss Airbus is so awesome. It is 99% accurate. Yeah, I have flown that MD-80. It is busy. That MD-80 is legit. The MD-80 on Flight Sim 2020, you do just as much work as you do in real life. It's a lot of work. It's not a plane that you can get in and just fly. Alright, I'm going to start lining up my navigation system, my ADIRs. So I'm going to put both of those to nav mode. It'll take about 7 minutes. 7 minutes to fully align until the plane knows where it is. 1 second. Once those start aligning, I'll come down this panel. For the first flight of the day, we do some checks, but I'm going to skip those because they're not too important. But we check the CVR here, make sure I hear a tone. I'll leave that ground control on. Come back up. I need a fire test, and I test each engine and the APU, make sure it all tests correctly. That one's too far away. I'll come down. I'll do an electrical test. I come down and I go to the electric screen. And what I want to see is I'm looking at these two batteries to make sure that they aren't under amped or discharging too much. So I turn them both off. I wait. I turn it back on, and I want to see 60 amps and under 60 amps in less than 40 seconds. So they're both recharging and they're less than 60 amps, so they're a good, healthy battery. Come down further. I'll turn my strobe to auto, navigation to 1. And that will be there. I will go ahead and start the APU. I'm going to need it. Do you ever overnight in base during a trip? Not on purpose, but so every now and then they'll give us a trip, and it might have a Dallas. Like, say I'm supposed to go like a Las Vegas turn back to Dallas, and then go to Miami for the overnight. If I have an issue in Vegas, I get back to Dallas too late, and I miss my Miami flight, they will overnight me in Dallas, and then they will send me to Miami the next day. But generally speaking, we don't have overnights in base if you're based in Dallas. Some people that are based in LA that live in Dallas will bid for DFW overnights because they can be based at home. I also apply with guys who live in like Kansas City or Little Rock or Greenville, Spartanburg, somewhere like that, and they'll bid overnights where they commute from so they can go home on the overnights. Moving to Addison in the fall to finish your training. Nice. It is busy up there. That's a very busy airport. All right, let's start the APU. At my airline, we push this button out. You can't push it out here, but we push this PA button out. And this is the COM3, the observers panel. We push it out so that all the PAs the flight attendants make get recorded onto the cockpit voice recorder. 1 second. All right. Coming down further, APU starting up. So I'm going to start loading the flight plan, and I'm going to get an actual flight plan from from Vegas to LA, so I can load an actual departure and an actual arrival. Let me see. What I'm going to do to get all this information easily, I'm just going to go to FlightAware. I'm going to find a Las Vegas flight. Not hard. A Las Vegas to LA flight. Not hard to do. I don't see any from my. Oh, I see one from my airline, Airbus 321 even. All right, so they are going to do the Raider to departure, to Black, to Shatner, to the Angel for arrival.
Dad, how do you spell mom? Because what is after them?
O-M-O-M. All right, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put KLAS/KLA. Uh-oh.
So,
M-O-M is mom. KLAX. I'll make this bigger so you can see it. There it goes. Put this right here on R1. I'll give myself a flight number. I'll just be Geek369 today. Cost index.
I want to write mommy.
M-O-M-M. So M-O-M, then M-Y is mommy. M-O-M-M-Y. The cost index, the higher the number, the faster you'll fly. They change this number based on how long that flight's going to take that day. If there's a crazy tailwind going to LA one day, we'll have a lower cost index to get there on time. We don't want to get there too early. Hey, Will Aviation, thank you. And from Toronto. Nice. So if the flights between LA and Vegas every day have the same scheduled flight time for the most part, but they don't want you getting there too early or too late. Say there's a giant thunderstorm between Vegas and LA. We have to go around this storm. It's going to take longer, right? But we can't be late. So what we'll do is we'll have a higher cost index to burn extra fuel to go around the storm to get there as early as possible. So I'm just making up a cost index today. The flight that they did was flight level 280. So I'll put flight level 280 here. Align IRS, this meaning whenever this is aligned, whenever my plane's aligned, to take those numbers and it'll put them in here for me. Total fuel load, it's only an hour flight. I have 22,000 pounds of fuel on board. That should be sufficient. I'm going to open up my Toliss screen, and I love Toliss. It takes a while to learn this plane, but it's awesome to use. Hey, Buxton. I was wondering who else from Toronto. Quan. Interesting. So I'm going to take my fuel. 22,000 pounds of fuel is fine. I'll leave it as is, but I do need to know my zero fuel weight. And in real life, these numbers come from my dispatcher. I don't ever have to look them up. My dispatcher sends me my zero fuel weight. Every airplane is actually weighed to get the actual actual bow weight, basic operating weight. And then zero fuel means all the people, all the cargo, everything but fuel. How much does that weigh? And my CG is 20.0. Put it here. Block, it's asking for how much fuel you're going to have, right? So I'm going to have 22,000 pounds, 22.1 pounds, 1,000 pounds of fuel on board. That's there. All right. Currently on Las Vegas, let me see what the weather is. I'm pretty sure they're using the 2.5s to take off. Las Vegas. Harry Reid International. Winds are Variable at 3. Variable. Let me look at the ATIS and see what the ATIS says. Las Vegas, the current weather. Current ATIS variable at 3. They're departing runway 1 right. All right. So we'll depart 1 right today. I've never departed 1. Oh, I've departed 1 right before. Yeah. Yeah, I've done it once. So 1 right. And then I said I was going to do, I think it was a Raider 3 departure. Yeah, no, Raider 2 departure. And I'm going to black, BLAQ, right? Yep. I'm going to insert that. All right, and then in LA, I've been to LA 50, 100 times. I've almost always landed on 25 left. LA is very good about having you land on the side of the airport you got a taxi to. And I'll do the Angel 4, and I'm going to do it from Shatner, which Shatner is William Shatner that you know. I'm not seeing Shatner, so what I need to do is look at the arrival and see where Shatner is and what I can put on there to have it match up. So the Angel 4, because Shatner's probably inside of a fix. It is. So if I pick the Hackman transition, oh, I don't see Hackman. Why? That's weird. Gate. Is this the Angel 4? It is the Angel. Oh, I know why. That's different. Never mind. So I need to pick Circus. This is different. This is different than my real plane right here. Circus. Then I can pick Shatner. Aha. Insert that. Now it makes sense. All right. Now performance. Again, these numbers don't come from my dispatcher. A flaps 2 should work just fine in Vegas because it's not crazy hot right now, and it will. So 139. But I'm going to show you something real quick. 145. 148. Flaps 2, and my trim will be up 1.7. So it's telling me a flex temp over here of 30 degrees, meaning I'm going to tell the engines to perform as though it's 30 degrees outside. That's to save engine wear and engine and fuel. The current temperature outside in Vegas right now is 35 degrees. I don't think this sim knows that, so I'm going to tell it to use Toga since I know if I use Toga, the PAX has to be off. So what I have to do then is I'm going to have to run the APU to take off with Toga. Because it is hot. It really is hot in Vegas. So 140, 144, and then this would be an APU on takeoff. And why is the APU on? Because even when you drive in your car and you have the air conditioner on, you can tell it takes power away from the engine. Same thing for the airplane. All right, and I'm going to descend at 290 knots, not 340 knots. That way, I'm not coming down like a rocket. And if it's really bumpy, if I descend at 340 knots and it's really bumpy, I can bump into MMO and go too fast. Alright. 1 second. I'm just going to turn my camera sideways for those that happen to want to watch on TikTok. But I did put on TikTok, I'm only answering questions from Twitch, not from TikTok.
Stop saying.
Oh, Shelby. Want to become famous by viewers? I don't want to become famous. I don't buy viewers or followers or primes. No.
Dad.
Shelby, Alright, so that's all done there. Alright, my APU bleed is on. I'll turn off the external power. And now I'm going to get ready for pushback. So I'm going to turn on the beacon. And when I do that, the jet bridge will start pulling away. And all my doors are closed, so that's a good thing. Alright. In real life, what we do is whoever loads this box, whoever loads the flight plan, the other pilot reads it. So if I loaded it, the captain will read it to me, and I'll compare what's in the box to what's on the actual flight plan, what we're cleared to do, and what's on the actual release. And we're comparing we compare all the fixes, but not the, well, I'll tell you. So if I was reading to the captain, I'd say we're doing flight number 369. We're going to fly from Las Vegas to LA, taking off runway 1 right, And I'm going to move this to the plan screen, put the constraints on there. I'm going to zoom in. And I'll say I'm taking off runway 1 right, heading 014 to 2,600 feet. Then we're taking a left turn to Bessie. We're going to cross Bessie above 5,000. Going out to Harley. Going to Gruden above 10,000. And I want to make sure that it says above 10,000 over here, and that the plane will do it over here. So it's the plane, 321s aren't great climbers. Well, the plane's going to cross that at 10,800 feet. Then we're going out to Raider, to Black. Then again, have a discontinuity, so I need to clear that. And then we'll clear direct Shatner for the Angel 4 arrival. And that's where I stop, there's no airways. It's to be a distance of 232 miles. We'll compare that to our flight release. Life is good. That is done. Then we'll come through here and we'll do what's called Florida Highway Patrol Eats Donuts. We look at our fuel, make sure our fuel is balanced and is correct. We check the hydraulics to make sure the hydraulic level. So these little marks here, that's our hydraulic level, our quantity indicators. They have to be at least to the bottom of this little rectangle here, and they're all good on this case. We're going to pressurization screen. We come here, we want to make sure that it has the landing field elevation correctly, because the plane schedules the pressurization as we come up and down. We want to make sure that the all the outflow valves are open, the inlets are open. Everything here appears to be green and good. Patrol eats. You go to the E is your engine oil. We'll make sure we have enough we have oil in the engines. These are only really accurate when the engines are turned off. We have to have at least 14 quarts of oil per engine to take off. I'll go to the door screen. What's here? It's our oxygen, or oxygen mask. We'll make sure we have enough oxygen, crew oxygen, in case we have an emergency. And then the S is for status. I come down here and make sure that it says normal, or we know what's going on with the airplane. Everything is good. So now I'm going to plan my pushback on X-plane. I just want to push. I'm going to push back and turn. I'm going to push back here. I'm going to have them spin me right here. And that is good enough for me.
Ground to cockpit. Plan
Alright.
Call me
And then I'm going to
when
call a
you're
pushback
ready.
truck.
Ground to
And I
cockpit.
need my headphones so I can hear. I don't know where to put my headphones. You're there. Alright. Oh, my Twitch is the same username. If you're on TikTok, my Twitch is the same username. Alright. So I'm going to go back to my seat over here. Pushback truck is coming up, and I bet I don't have the right altimeter. I need to check the Las Vegas altimeter is 2992 today. How about that? Alright, and the initial altitude on my SID, the Raider 2 SID, is flight level 190. So what we normally do when we're at the gate, we'll say, hey, okay, it's my takeoff right, as a first officer.
Doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
And I'll always ask the captain when I'm flying, do you have any threats? And we do this as a threat forward situation. What are your threats for this takeoff or this landing? We do it for takeoff and landing. And we'll say our threats are, it's hot outside, we're not going to perform very well, first time flying together, all the terrain that's around the airport. And then we'll go back and forth, and then I'll say, great, be a right to departure off runway 1 right. We'll do standard rejecting criteria. If we have any issues, we'll come back to Las Vegas. We'll be slightly over max landing weight, but it won't be that big of a deal. It's a nice long runway. For runway 1 right, the airline does specify a special engine out procedure. Because again, if you look at the airport, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Let me get my pushback started here real quick.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Chocks are off, power's off. So if you're on Twitch, you can see this. You can see the airport and all those red lines. Those are special engine out procedures my airline has for this airport, because we're in a box canyon, kind of speak, around Vegas, so we have to make sure we can survive on one engine and how to get out of there safely. So my airline has a special engine out procedure that I'll put into the secondary flight plan. I can't do it on this thing here because it doesn't know my airline. But in my airlines, in my real plane, I load on the secondary flight plan. What I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll go to init and I'll go KLAS to KLAS. And I'll load up my special engine out procedure that my airline built for us, so that in case we lose an engine, this is what we're going to do to safely get back and safely land at the airport. There you go. So standard reject criteria, we have to come back here. It'll be an overweight landing, but not a big of an issue. Otherwise, we're off to LA. We have no alternate outside our main takeoff fuel. And any question? Then I'll discuss the taxi route. And the taxi route. So we're taxiing from gate D11 to runway 1 right. So I'm expecting to taxi down Bravo, probably to Delta, crossing runway 8 left, and then to runway 1 right. There are hot spots. I'll be heads up as long as I can. Any questions? This sim is called X-Plane 11, and this is the Toliss Airbus. The Toliss Airbus. Again, if you're on TikTok, I can't quite see the screen is very well, but if you get Twitch, Twitch is free, and my username on Twitch is the same as it is on TikTok.
Operation complete. Set parking brakes.
Alright, so brakes are set, and you are cleared to disconnect. So I'm going to set the parking brake, and they'll disconnect, and I'll go ahead and start the engine. Starting the engines on the Airbus is super easy. You turn on the ignition switch, and engine 1. Jake, we do change our procedures every now and then, and it takes a lot to change procedures. Before they change, if it's a big procedure change, they have to train every pilot first before we can do it. If it's something small like a checklist, we can do that via our quarterly training, which happens quite a bit. They haven't changed very much. My last checklist revision is January of 2021, I think. This might be an old checklist, actually. But I think it's January 2021 or March 2021 is the last checklist change. Going very well, Micah. And so he can disconnect and he's going away. So the engine 1 is starting, and on the IAE engines, they are very slow to start. This is just like real life. The CFMs start very quickly. Oh, and I didn't turn my fuel pumps on. You know why I didn't turn them on? Because that's a captain thing, and I never look up there.
Hose disconnected and bypass
Sorry.
pin has been removed.
The CFMs start the quickest, then the IAEs, and then the NEO engines start the slowest. There are instrument screens the same for both. Well, they're similar for both seats. So if you look on the captain side, his or her PFD is on the outside, on the left, and then the right, and then on mine, my PFD is on my right, and my NDs on my left. So they're just flip-flops. We always start engine 1 first, and I think that's an Airbus thing. I think an Airbus thing, you always start engine 1 first. Because after the engine starts, you can see right here, the hydraulic PTU runs, and that's a power transfer unit. So I think the Airbus requires you to start the engine 1 first. Alright. So waiting for that to start up. And even in real life, when the engine starts, I sit there and wait. And in reality, when this is happening, I'm sitting there, I get the final printout from my airline, and they have the final weights on board as far as how many people are on board, how much you guys all weigh, how much the baggage weighs, any kind of restricted articles, meaning any hazmat. We do carry hazmat on board. And all my final performance numbers come out of a little printer, and the printer is right here. So this is the printer on board, and it prints out all my final information. You know, there is no practical reason, because you know what? I can I can swap the screens. I can swap them over, and in case this one fails, I can swap them. And even if one of these fail, so say if this screen right here failed, the top screen, I can swap it to be over here. So I can swap the screens as needed. So yeah, you have to be a teacher. You'll be great. So I went to school to be a teacher. I like teaching. All right, both engines are started, and in real life, what happens is the captain will say, "I have a salute," meaning the pushback crew saluted him, showed him or her the bypass pin. If we're doing a single engine taxi, I come up here and I turn on the electric hydraulic pump, but we're not today. Now, I am going to have the APU on for takeoff because of how hot it is in Vegas today. So in normal, I will turn the APU off, but I need the APU today for the extra performance. That should already be on. So I'll come down and I'll put the ignition switch back to normal. Oops. And I will center the rudder. And then I go to the flaps, the takeoff position, which is today's flaps 2. At this point, the captain will say flaps to taxi, and I'll call ramp for taxi instructions. So away we go. And if you're on TikTok, you can get the Twitch app for free. Twitch is free, and you can come and see everything in the full screen in all its glory. I might try YouTube gaming one day to see if that's any better or worse. But I'm going to try to do a real-time flight from Las Vegas to LA. So while we're taxiing along, in reality, the captain is always taxiing. The captain's always taxiing. So if you're ever on an airplane and you're getting thrown around the airplane in the back, it's the captain's fault. The first officer doesn't taxi. And I'll show you how we steer the airplane on the ground. So we'll get to this corner here. In the Airbus, you can't take a 90-degree turn faster than 10 knots. You can see your speed on the ND. It says GS. Right now it says 9. We're doing 9 knots in the turn. Yes, Shelby. Not right now. I'll play a game when I'm done, honey. Alright, so if you look down on the Airbus, they're on both sides. Right down here, this little U-shaped thing is called a tiller. This is how we steer the airplane on the ground. On the Airbus, they're on both sides. So on the captain's side, it is right there. That's the tiller. That's what they normally use to steer on the ground. On most planes, there's only one. On some 737s, they have two. I do have the Thrustmaster Airbus controls. Yeah, it is this one here, yeah. The Fly-by-Wire mod and Flight Sim 2020 break the controls with each update. Yeah, I've given up using, I don't use this control anymore on Flight Sim 2020. I don't like the way it works. Here's what I don't like about Flight Sim 2020. I don't like, so right now I'm using the point of view hat on the top to move this around. On Flight Sim 2020, this switch does not operate the same, and I hate how it works. I won't use this on Flight Sim 2020 anymore. Alright. So in reality what happens on a long taxi is we will do the flight control check. So the captain says, "You ready?" And he or she will move the flight controls and we'll do a full check. So I'll be looking at this screen down here. Can I move the screen? I can move the screen. So they will move the flight controls full left, full right, full up, full down, neutral, and then they'll do the rudder check each way. And in reality, they're not turning the airplane. They can disconnect the rudder pedals when they do that check. And then I'll do a full flight control check. From that point on, I'll reach up and I'll push the max braking button. The max brakes for auto brake are only used for takeoff, not for landings. I will then come down and verify that I have the right trim settings set up. And I believe it was set up for up 1.7.
Dad, why are you still flying?
Because I like to fly, Shelby. Up 1.7.
Why are you landing?
I haven't landed yet. I'm still on the ground. I'm going to take off and then I'm going to land. Then I'll come over and I'll turn on predictive wind shear to auto. And I'll push the takeoff config OK button.
Dad, could you do outside?
In a second. You need to go potty.
I don't.
I see you. I think you need to go potty. Alright, this cabin check is not on my real plane. Cabin ready. That's only on the Toliss Airbus. But I'll do takeoff config OK. And then from this point, I will do the before takeoff checklist. Oh, let's see. How do you block someone on this? I don't know how to block someone on this. Huh. Well, that's annoying. Oh, block. There you go. Goodbye. Is the captain only taxi? Only the captain taxis an airline. Yes, only the captain taxis. I check where I am. I am still good at taxi. How much RAM do I have on this computer? I have 32 gigs of RAM. 32 gigs of RAM. So right now the captain, he or she would see that I have done the takeoff config test and it's correct. They would say before takeoff checklist to the line. Then I would read the before takeoff checklist. At my airline, it is flaps, and then we look at what's planned. So we say flaps 2 planned, 2 indicated. So 2 planned right here, and we have flaps 2 indicated right here. Takeoff data and speeds, we're just saying checked. Why do we say checked? I think I'll do a mod once if I get too. Oh, I'm getting kind of busy. Yeah, I'll have to think about the whole mod thing. Thank you. Takeoff data and speeds. Now, if we had a runway change, we'd have to say new runway speeds, but we didn't change the runway, so we're just saying checked. Weight, and what the weight issue is, the captain will read the weight right here, and I read the weight off from the slip the airline prints out as far as what the airline told us that we weighed to make sure they're within weight and we're not crazy overweight. Then stab trim, we'll read out the stab trim again on the my TikTok is gonna die because my phone's dying. We'll read the stab trim out, flight controls checked, and then we'll say ECAM memo, takeoff, no blue. And that is before takeoff checklist complete to the line.
Daddy,
Yes, Shelby.
I want to call Mom because I think I wrote on her paper.
Okay, well, no more writing over there, please. Do not write over there. Go write somewhere else, please. Let me think how I can handle my TikTok stream because my phone is dying. I'm gonna have to plug it in. I'll wait till I get airborne. If you're on TikTok, the screen is gonna go darker for a second. I can no longer see my TikTok screen. I've had to dim my screen. You are very welcome, Kibo. Alright, so we're gonna cross the runway here. And of course, you never cross the runway until you're cleared to do so. But from this point on, the captain would ding the flight attendants and say, "Flight attendants, prepare the cabin for takeoff." When he or she makes that warning, that's a 2-minute warning for the flight attendant. So we make that warning at least 2 minutes before the takeoff begins. So that way, the flight attendants have a 2 minutes heads up to get to their seats and secure everything. If they can't get to the seats in 2 minutes, then they need to call us and let us know. So once I cross this runway, in reality, I'd be going to tower instructions. I'd be going to, so I'd be switching the tower to listen to tower, waiting for them to their final instructions, and then the captain would call for the before takeoff checklist below the line. On my airline, it's runway and FMS, and he or she would say runway 1 right checked. And again, it says runway 1 right there, and it says runway 1 right out the right window checked. Min takeoff fuel, we want to make sure we have the minimum takeoff fuel required for takeoff. Flight attendants notified, and in engine mode, make sure it's on normal, because if it's not on normal, we won't get some of our lower information on our lower screen. And then TCAS should be TARA, and that is it. So before takeoff checklist is complete, and I'll keep on rolling and that we are clear for takeoff. We can turn on strobes when crossing runways. At my airline, it is not policy. At my old airline, it was policy. So some captains still turn on the strobes while crossing runways. It doesn't hurt anything. On the Airbus, the normal strobe position is an auto. And what auto means is the strobes will turn on automatically when I leave the runway. Alright, so I'm going to line up for takeoff, and the captain will say, "Darren, your aircraft," and I'll say, "My aircraft." And I'm going to come to a stop for just 1 second to get the screen the way I want it.
Dad, are you in the sky?
Not yet. I'm almost, though. Alright, I'm all lined up, and I'm just going to slowly advance the throttles to 1.05 EPR to make sure both engines rev up at the same time. There have been incidents when people just jam it forward, and one engine revs up, and one does not, and you go up the side of the runway. Then I'll just do 2 clicks. I'm doing 3 clicks to Toga. I'm doing a Toga takeoff. I'll say Toga set. The captain looks down, makes sure that the engines are indeed in the Toga detent and are commanding Toga power. 80 knots, check, and we wait. Yeah, the 321 does not perform very well when it's hot and heavy. And I'm not very heavy today, but we get to V1, no longer can reject, and rotate. As this is 3 degrees per second pitch up to 15 degrees. Positive rate, and gear up. And again, the Airbus trims for you automatically. Once I get it pointed up, I can do hands free. The Airbus is not going to move. For ease of use today, I'm going to do the autopilot 2 on, and the plane will start turning. And now I'm doing nothing until I see we get to thrust reduction and acceleration altitude. Normally it's about 1,000 feet above the ground. Here it's a little bit higher. It'll say throttle climb when I get to that altitude. Or lever climb, sorry, lever climb. There's lever climb. I go 2 clicks back to climb, and I say climb. I want to make sure, and the captain says climb set, to make sure that indeed I'm in the climb power setting. 319 and 320, there's a difference. At least in my airline, the 319, the 320s are all older planes. But I can tell the difference between all the planes. They all fly they do fly differently. They do fly differently. All right, my first crossing restriction is again Bessie above 5,000 feet. It says 5,000 plus. Right now, I'm going to cross it at 6170. So life is good. I'm slowly accelerating here, right? I'm above the F speed. I'm going to call for flaps 1. And I'm slowly accelerating because, again, it's hot outside. It's hot, and I'm at 321. It don't climb very well. It's doing the best it can. First cross country tomorrow. I'm going to try to transition Bravo airspace. Okay, Shane, not be a 1 November Romeo. Make sure you get permission to clear the Bravo airspace. I'm sure you will. All right, climbing up. And again, this thing is not a good climber. We're doing 1,000 feet per minute in a big Airbus 321. It's hot outside. It's doing what it can.
How long can a person do a TikTok live for?
Huh?
How long can a person do a live for?
Oh, this is different. It's a different live. Oh, some people do live for
What's the difference?
hours on end. But this, I'm on Twitch now and on TikTok to a point that I can't see my TikTok screen anymore.
Oh my goodness. So, hey.
So I get power to my. Oh wait, I'm almost. So if you watch this over here, my flaps are gonna retract all by themselves. My max flap speed is right here, and see they're already retracted. So now I have just slats out, and that speed went up a little bit more. I'm now above F speed, meaning slat speed, flaps up, and I'll say after takeoff checklist. At that point, the captain's gonna reach over, disarm the spoilers, and then check that, make sure that we're pressurizing, and we can see that right here. The cabin is rising at 220 feet per minute. Then the captain will come up, and we no longer need the APU. So APU bleed goes off, APU master goes off, and the captain will say, after takeoff checklist is complete. Let me see if I can get power to my phone so my phone doesn't die for all the TikTok people. I lost my power cord. Oh, it's up here. Alright. My poor iPhone. Whenever I do TikTok lives, I can't have easy power to it because of my microphone, so my phone dies quickly. So I'm going to see if I can get power to my phone, which is in an odd spot. Alright. There it goes. One of them, Romeo, I bet he did lost a license. Yeah, you can see that outside the airplane. I'm going to send a generic 321. I don't want to use branding to pretend to work for some airline today. I do want to buy Kirkland livery though. I want to see if I can find Kirkland livery for a 321. So as you can see, Las Vegas is in a bowl. The highest terrain around me right now is at 8,400 feet. I am just now clearing 9,000 feet. I have to be above Grundon, 10,000 or above. I'm going to cross that by 770 feet. So I'm just barely going to clear Grundon above 10,000 feet. I had never had to do a rejected takeoff in a real... No, I have. I have had to do one reject, actually. I did a reject in Houston Hobby on the Embraer 145. It was a low-speed reject, like maybe 70 knot reject. And it was because the tower called a reject because Southwest was landing on a crossing runway. Yeah, that was a crappy one. Alright, we're through 10,000 feet. Life is good. And I'm going to self-clear myself up to flight level 280 now. So we'll see where I'm going to level off for cruise. So this blue line, that's where I'm going to level off. Right there. And I can also kind of see where I'm going to begin my descent. So I'm going to level off right here at the blue line. I'm going to begin my descent at the white line. So I'm going to go up and then almost straight back down. Now, in reality, in real life, what happened after 10,000 feet, I get a printout from my airline, and it shows every single waypoint, what time we should be at each waypoint, how much fuel we should have at each waypoint. So as we fly along, one thing we do while we're in cruise is we compare every waypoint, how much fuel have we burned, are we early or late, and how much fuel do we have on board total to make sure we're being on time and burning the right amount of fuel. An issue with the Airbus, and with many airplanes, not just the Airbus by the way, on our fuel tanks, if we're like going across country, we'll have fuel in the center, and right over here, these are called ACTs, additional center tanks. The fuel is supposed to go out of these first, into the center, from the center to the wings, from the wings to the engines. If something goes wrong, and we don't burn fuel out of the center, the fuel on board will show it's going down correctly, but if it's not pumping out of here, we can actually run out of fuel if the pumps aren't running correctly. So every hour, we have to come in and check, make sure we're burning out of the center tank if we have center tank fuel. Red Bull pilots getting their license pulled, I did hear about that. And I'm glad, because the FAA denied the request to do what they did, and they did it anyway, so yeah. I don't think we'll get rid of the 320s. They're kind of paid for. They are kind of a odd aircraft. I haven't flown a 320 since I think I flew it in March to DCA. I fly a 320 maybe once or twice a quarter. It's pretty rare. I didn't fly one at all in April or in May. I didn't fly a 320 at all this month in May. It's pretty rare. Mostly in Phoenix and Charlotte. Thank you, Pickle Rick. It is. Thank you. Back up for your rotation. Where are you going? Unless your airlines have an auto function. Not sure which ones I'm on private side, but I'm always have to do that manually. Oh, the seatbelts. So good question. The seatbelt sign, this one does have an auto function. So if we go up to the seatbelt sign, so that, well, this one has an off and on. I want to say ours have an auto function that if we leave the seatbelt sign in auto and we put the gear down or flaps go past a certain limit, they'll turn on automatically. I used to fly a CRJ 700, and on the CRJ 700 it had an auto function, and I specifically remember one time we were super late leaving Chicago. Landed in Houston at like 1 in the morning. We were dead tired. And we put the gear down and we heard ding, because we put the gear down and the seatbelt sign was still turned off, but it turned on because of the auto function. The fuel weight in the wings, is there a maximum difference? There is a max difference between the two. It is, I believe it's 1,800 pounds or 2,000 pounds, I believe. A difference between the two sides. But we can balance the fuel out too. There's a balance function up here. We can balance the fuel out between those two wings as well. Good afternoon, Ryan. They do have a base. They have a base in Boston. It is a 737 base. Yes. All right. Still climbing up. Life is good. I'm going to turn up the brightness on my TikTok again, so you're going to lose your picture for a second. Gear is not automatically locked in cruise. I could put the gear down right now if I wanted to. Well, actually, I couldn't. I'm above max gear speed. On rotation to the 26th. Van Nuys to Santa Ana to New Orleans to Orlando. That's a lot of flying. Pickle Rick, I hope you've already joined some organizations. What's up?
Let me see if I can get some for tomorrow.
Oh, we can go to Target tomorrow. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Hopefully you've already joined like OBAP, NGPA, and Women Aviation. My airline hired 26 or 27 pilots recently at the NGPA conference. 26 or 27 pilots here. They hired one day. DFW is a base for all planes at my airline. Yes, all planes. Did a red last night to Indy to Van Nuys. So, Pickle Rick, I'm going to say this, and I'm sure you've already seen this. I assume you've already watched the documentary called 16 Right. 16 Right is a documentary on the Van Nuys Airport. It's really good. If you love aviation and you want to watch a good aviation movie, look up the movie called, it's a documentary called 16 Right. It's all about Van Nuys Airport. So, quick 1 second. So, we're past 18,000 feet. I'm going to go ahead and what we say is standard. Standard on both sides, and that is it. So, life is good. Climbing up to 28,000 feet. Private check ride on June 13th. That's a month from now. Busser, always read the ACS every single day. Once a week. Read the ACS once a week. Make sure you understand everything in the ACS. Do not be afraid to ask your CFI any questions. There are no dumb questions in aviation. Hopefully you have it written out of the way already. If not, start studying for your written, of course. And understand on a check ride, in the ACS, it tells you you can be 100 feet high, 100 feet low, 10 degrees right, 10 degrees left. You're not going to be perfect, especially in your private pilot check ride. You're not going to be perfect, and that's fine. They want to see you have a good understanding and a good command of the aircraft. But I have never had a perfect check ride. I had my check ride yesterday. I made mistakes. We all make mistakes, and it's normal. You just have to kind of trap your errors and get better. Trap your errors and to show you are command of the aircraft. You're just getting your typing in GPA. Oh, dude. Hey, but Pickle Rick. August 10th through 12th in Phoenix is OBAP. Everyone's going to be there for the first time in 2 years. OBAP, Phoenix, the 10th through the 12th of August. Every airline's going to be there. Every single airline. Does fuel get sumped in airliners like GA planes? No. But we can only get fuel from certain companies. Just for example, say if right now I had to have an emergency and I had to divert. Say if I had to divert to somewhere my airline doesn't fly to. Oh, I can't think. Say if we had to divert to Palm Springs, and say if we didn't fly to Palm Springs, but American Eagle did, I cannot get fuel in Palm Springs unless my airline will. Yeah, we have to have special permission to get fuel from a company that we don't normally get fuel from. So, got your instrument check ride on Tuesday. Nice. Read ahead. Don't ever memorize an approach plate. You're very welcome, Pickle Rick. Do you ever get bored on long flights? I do get bored on long flights. Sometimes I fly with pilots that are very boring, and we don't talk at all, and that's okay. Sometimes I stare out the window. Sometimes I just stare out the window for hours on end. Well, I stare out the window, but then every hour I come in and I check again. The fuel, make sure we're still balanced, and if we have any fuel in the middle, make sure we're burning out of the middle. On my fuel slip from my airline, it asks how much center fuel tank we have. Center fuel we have, make sure that number is going down the entire time. Hydraulics, make sure that we're not losing any hydraulic fluid. Electrics are still balanced out. Engines, I did have a flight once where I started losing engine oil, and we had to divert to Seattle one day. I make sure my engine oil is still good. Now, if you remember, my engine oil was at 22 quarts before we took off outside the engine. We're down to 16 quarts because we're actually using engine oil. Then again, I'll do a cockpit oxygen check to make sure we're not losing the oxygen, and I'll hit the status button again to make sure that the airplane is happy. Got bored after 2 hours most of the time. Yeah, I get bored a lot. I am flying west. Good afternoon, Spencer. What do you think of the chance of me getting in with interview with? Oh, dude, 2,700 total time. It's very good. All you have to have, dude. Yeah, you're solid. There was a guy next to me in my new hire class that had less than that. He came from corporate to here. You're good. All you might ever have to do is have a little bit extra, and it sounds silly, and I know you've heard it before, is like, what else do you bring to the table? I'll tell a quick story. I went to my first job fair. I went to Las Vegas back in 2016 or 2014 or 13. Anyway, I said, well, why should you hire me? I'm a safe pilot. I have thousands of hours of flight time. I love flying. You should hire me. Well, what else do you bring to the table? So they have to ask, OBAP, yes. What do you bring to the table? So I had to start volunteering. I volunteered for my union. I volunteered outside the union. So if you have any kind of volunteer work anywhere, it could be for Habitat for Humanity, for your kid's school, for your spouse's school, whatever, any kind of volunteer work, it helps you look a little bit extra spice onto your resume, and it does help quite a bit. But I highly recommend OBAP if you can get there. August 10th through 12th, every airline's going to be there. What airline conference were you? OBAP, OBAP. For flying different directions, west is even, east is odd for the most part. So if you want to go to college and they have a flight training program, that's a win-win. You get your college degree that you want, and you get a flight training program, and you get a better loan rate than you can do like a normal. If you were to go to ATP or United Aviate and get a private loan, it's a much higher interest rate than it would be through a college. So if you want a college degree and you get flight training, that's a win-win. It's a win-win. All right, so we're level at cruise, and here's another thing about the Airbus. So it says out cruise here, right? Say if I wanted to, say if I was supposed to cruise at flight level 300, okay? And well, I already got here. But if I never got to my final cruising altitude, the plane would never cruise and it would not descend correctly. But I'll do that on my next live because I've already gotten to my cruise altitude, so that won't work. But the plane uses the cruise altitude for descent planning and for pressurization planning for on the descent. Now I'm already getting close to LA, so I need to put in my arrival information. Again, this is why I love Toliss and the Airbus. I'm going to come up here, go to my Toliss screen, and this Toliss screen will show me the current weather in LA. Alright, so the current weather, and the plane needs to know all the different information so it knows how to give me my proper landing speed, and again, it uses it for pressurization as well. I do have Flight Sim 2020. I don't like the Airbus on Flight Sim 2020. I have the fly-by-wire Airbus. It is not as good as this Airbus. Alright, temperature in LA. It is hot in LA, 27 degrees. Current wind is 270 at 10. Alright. And I'm going to be doing the ILS 25 left approach into LA today. I have shot this approach countless times. The minimums are 304 for Cat 1 ILS. That goes in the MDA screen, not in the decision height screen. I'll do a flaps 3 landing. My airline does recommend flaps 3 just so we have a less chance of a tail strike. So this flaps 3 here, that's what the plane is using to make my landing speeds on. I have to press one more button. I have to press the flaps 3 up here as well to tell the plane, hey, I'm landing flaps 3. Don't be looking for flaps full for landing. I personally got my ratings on a degree through a university with an aviation program. It was a great experience. There you go. And I'm glad you mentioned that. Scholarships. So many people think I can't be a pilot because I can't afford it. There are so many scholarships out there. So many scholarships. But you have to do the work. You have to do the work. If I could change about the Airbus, I would change a few things. And they're very nitpicky things. Here's what I'd change. So, my power outlet for my EFB is way down here. See this little metal shelf? It's under this metal shelf. It's hard to get to. I can't see it from my seat. My headset jack is way up back here. It's very hard to plug the headset in. It's a very odd angle. And the last thing I would change, and this is very nitpicky by the way, see right here? This is an ashtray. There's not normally a cover right here. Normally it's an open spot. It holds lots of stuff I use. On my Neos, they got rid of this hole. And it's very annoying. Beyond that, I'm pretty happy with it. Alright, so we're coming up on top of descent. How do I know? That little arrow is the best symbol in the whole Airbus. That little white arrow, that means that's when I should start down to begin my arrival into LA. The Airbus will not start down by itself, even though it knows where top of descent is. If I come into my screen here, I can go on the perf page. It tells me my top of descent is in 8 miles. It knows it's at 2047 Zulu. Right now it's 2046 Zulu. It knows what top of descent is, but it will not go down by itself. I have to tell it to go down. I've been talking a lot. Normally I would verify my arrival. I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the bottom altitude is 12,000 feet for this arrival. In real life, what we do is, and I do this in every single flight, I'll go into flight plan mode, and then I'll come in, and I'll verify all these constraints. So it says Angel, cross it below 240. And I'll verify the plane's going to make all those restrictions all the way down. Do all Airbus have the same cockpit? For the most part, they're almost all identical. There are some small differences, but for the most part, they're all identical. Yes. But there are some small changes between all of our planes. At my airline, I fly 16 variants of the same airplane. What's up, man? Joining a little late. I am done with training. I am done. You're doing Liberty, nice. Strange question, but why does it? What does fly-by-wire mean? Good question. 1 second. So I've passed top of descent. I push in the altitude button. Whoops. 1 second. I push in the button for manage descent. It goes to descent mode. I'm going to come back here to progress page, and I'm already 800 feet high because I pushed the button too late. I'm 800 foot higher than my optimal descent rate, but it's okay. Because see this little blue line here? That little blue squiggly line? That's the Airbus telling me that's when I'm going to rejoin the proper path. At your airline, let's see. Apps came in with 0 flight time, good. Let me see it, 0 to hero of CFI ratings. Nice. There is an anonymous system that we can do. Yes, there is an anonymous system for flight attendants, for pilots, but not for flight attendants though. It's time for the Airbus to come back to Bangor. Nice. Yep. As you might know, I've been to Bangor 1 time. I've been to Bangor, Maine 1 time. You know if the A340 has the same flight deck? I do not know. I know the A330 has a very similar flight deck to the 320. The A330 is very similar. The A340, I do not know. All right, so I'm kind of fast. I'm supposed to be doing 280 knots. Right now, it's doing 300 knots. So I'm gonna put out my speed brakes. Oh, TikTok, you fell down. TikTok, you fell down because of the power cable. All right, let me see if I can put you back. Oh, I lost TikTok. Now, TikTok went red, but it should be on. They should be on Twitch anyway. All right. So I'm gonna put my speed brakes out and get back into the brackets here. All right, close the speed brakes. I'm back in the groove, and I'm almost to the little blue line here where I'm gonna be rejoining my course. So life will be good again. All right. Descending down, and this is pretty boring. Coming down, descending down, it gets pretty boring. In reality, what happens is SoCal approach. When I get on with SoCal approach. So right now, I'm going to the Angel fix. Angel is right. That's Angel right there on the fix. Right now, I'd be on with SoCal approach. Most time they'll say Geek Flight 866, whatever my flight number is, descend via the Angel for arrival, cleared ILS 25 left approach. So what I can now do is I'm going to put in the final approach fix altitude, which I believe is 1900 feet at GG. 1900 feet at GG. So I'm going to put in 1900 feet. The plane will keep on descending, and it will respect every single constraint, meaning at or aboves all the way down. And I'm not going to arm the ILS until I'm within 18 miles of the runway. So in theory, I can kind of just sit here and watch this. Sorry, I keep responding to people in your chat. Dude, I don't mind at all. Pickle Rick, absolutely help me out. I appreciate it. If you're fast, how come you need the speed brakes instead of reducing throttle power? Good question, Spencer. Because I'm already at idle. So on the Airbus, my thrust levers don't move. The only way I know I'm at idle is it says idle right here. So I'm already at idle, and I was already fast. So right now I'm at the top of the bracket, and this happens a lot in the Airbus. A lot, especially in the 321, a lot. It's very common in LA that they want me doing 250 knots to like 8,000 feet, and it gets very tricky to slow down. And you'll see here in a little bit how hard it is to slow down the Airbus 321. And the Airbus can flight attendants control. Oh, I missed something already. Ever jump seat on transatlantic route? I have not. How are the speed brakes different on the 3 versions? So, good question. On the 319 and 321, the speed brakes are exactly the same. On a 320, if I were to do full speed brakes with the autopilot on, I get half speed brakes. If I want full speed brakes, only on the Airbus 320, I have to turn the autopilot off, and then I get full speed brakes. Why? You have to ask Airbus. Can already hear you contact SoCal on 127.0. Yeah, I love SoCal approach. They're very chill. They are very chill and very relaxed. Alright, so coming down. I didn't turn on any traffic. Probably should have, but I didn't. So I'm the only plane in the sky right now. But it's very common to have Another plane 10 miles ahead of me. SoCal approach is very good about spacing out airplanes. Most times there's another aircraft 10 miles ahead of me, and we're all doing the same arrival and the same speeds. Can a flight attendant control the cabin temperature? They can. Ma Bird, good question. There is a panel, a flight attendant panel on enhanced planes that can control the temperature a lot. What does enhanced mean? On the Airbus speak, enhanced means I have all these fancy LCD screens and extra protection up front, all kind of extra systems. On a basic plane, there's CRTs, not as many systems, and they can't control the temperature as much. But I can set the temperature up here, and then they can do it plus or minus 4 degrees from whatever I set up here, generally speaking. I think it's 4 degrees from whatever I set up here. Good afternoon, Montego Air. So I need to set my altimeters are flashing. Give me 1 second. The altimeter in LA is, oops, it was 2991. So I'm going to pull this 2991. During this time, what is the captain doing? They're checking what's being. Well, so generally speaking, if I'm flying, the captain's on the radio. So the captain's talking on the radio the whole time, or if the captain's flying, I'm on the radio. And then, so one's red flying, one person's on the radio. Yeah. Are the commands made verbally prior to them being made? It depends. For altitude, yes. So altitude, anything for altitude is verbally said and verified by the other pilot. Speed, not so much. Other things, not so much. I instructed in primarily a Piper Seminole. Any wing views? I have no wing views saved. I'd have to manually do it, and I can't do it as easily right now. 10 degrees. Thank you, Chev. 10's the limit, but 4 is procedure. Ha 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 ha! I didn't know that. See, I thought it was 4. See, I learned something new. How far out do you hit the LS? So I can push the LS button now. I won't have any data till I get closer, but the LS button is already pushed on my side and on the captain's side. So right now, all I'm seeing is the frequency. That's all I can see. I can't see until I get within normally 200 miles, but I'm closer than that right now. I won't see any other data until I get a lot closer. Right now, I'm 54 miles from the airport. And here's what the Airbus does in real life. See, it's supposed to be doing 280 knots. It's hanging at 270. The real plane does this. It kind of just, it hunts between those two speeds. It's very annoying sometimes. Sometimes the Airbus will hang out at 261 knots when it's supposed to be doing 280. It's very annoying. But the Airbus does know also that, see this little dot right here? That means it's going to decelerate. Why is it slowing down? To make 270 below 14,000 feet. So it's going to try to slow down. So right now it's doing 270 because it knows it needs to do 270 here in a few minutes. In real life, I would be overwhelmed doing a single pilot Airbus. It's a lot of work, especially a lot of busy airports. You can't be a single pilot. Will pilot pilots ever be in the same training space class? You know what? Normally we are in the same training. I went to training this week. Normally we are in the same spot. We had the first day of training is normally we're together, but we weren't this week. So the Airbus is smart, but every now and then it does stupid things. You'll see here. When I get below 10,000 feet, it's going to do some stupid things. You'll see. All right, so life is good. Descending down. Normally we call for the descent checklist, and it's really easy at my airline. Altimeters is 2991. 2991. Auto brake, I have it on medium. Prep approach page is set. Arrival briefing. The Angel 4 arrival for the ILS 25 left approach, and status is checked. In reality, I'll be saying, do you have any threats again? We always ask for threats. That's the first thing we say for any approach or takeoff. Do you have any threats? It's a threat-forward conversation. This will be a visual approach backed up by the ILS from a 25 left into LA. 1099 on both sides. As you can see, it has identified the localizer already, this far out. 109 on both sides, be flaps 3. Auto brakes are medium. Crossing GG at 1900 feet. Runway is long enough for a standard landing assessment. It's plenty long enough. We have any issues about landing or stopping. Be a right turn off. We'll hold short of 25 right to a clear to do so. If we have to go around, it'll be a soft go around, not a full go around. There is no terrain to worry about. If we lose an engine on the go around, we can go out over the water to discuss the issue. Otherwise, we're going into LA. Any questions? Where is the cockpit? Where in the cockpit has your height? Well, this is my normal view here. There are these three little balls. There's only one here, but there's only a red ball here, a white ball, and a white ball. And the idea is to hide the white ball on the captain's side with the red ball. If I can't see the white ball, I'm at the right height to see everything. Airbus says I should be able to see down this little partition here. I should see straight down onto the instruments. All right, so the Airbus is going to stop here at 10,000 feet because that is the constraint. Now, say ATC calls up to maintain 250 knots. So I'm going to put 250 knots in here. Now I'm doing selected speed. I pull the knob out. I'm telling the Airbus, I'm controlling the speed now, not you. I'm going to come down and I'm going to go ahead and activate the approach. It's now in approach mode. And they're going to say maintain 250 knots until gate. And you'll get to see the real challenge I get to do in the Airbus. If you think the Airbus does stupid things, try flying a classic G4. I like Gulfstreams though. They have a nice ramp presence, as you know. Do you hit the localizer button first? Nope. I only use the localizer button if they say join the localizer. Some places they do that, but here they don't. I made a typo. I meant where does it have an altitude of the plane? Oh, yeah. Right, so the altitude of the plane, I'm descending now, but it's on this side of the PFD. And then this is where I'm going down to. I'm going down to 1,900 feet. I have a horrible stutter, and when I speak, some words don't come out clear. So I speak fast, nobody can understand. I'm afraid it'll affect my potential career as a pilot. Hey, I have a horrible stutter too, dude. I do. I have a horrible stutter. I had a very severe stutter when I was a kid. What I do, I talk like I'm on a radio. This is not my normal voice. I have a whole fake audio. Right now, what you're hearing, if you met me in public, if you saw me in public, and we were just sitting down talking, I would not talk this way. I talk a very different way now than I do to my kids or my wife. I have just a false falsetto about me, so people can understand what I'm saying. I have a bad stutter, dude. You'll hear it every now and then. If you watch my lives on TikTok, if I'm tired, I will start stuttering quite a bit. You're very welcome. Does Flight Sim have the option? I think it does. I think you have to move yourself. I think you have a view from an FO side on Flight Sim 2020. All right, 250 knots. I'm making the constraint fueler. Life is good. I can probably see the airport now. Well, in real life, I can see the airport. I can't see the airport. Wait, there's the airport. There's the airport, way up there. And normally in LA, there is some terrain just to the northwest of the field. And I should be going over Ontario. Ontario is behind me, I think. Yeah, it's already behind me. Alright, go back to constraints. Alright, so now they say slow to 210. Slow to 210. So I'm going to pull 210 knots in the window. I'm going to put my speed brakes out. Now watch my speed tape. This is going to jump up. This little speed thing here is going to jump. Oh, it's not doing it. Why is it jumping up? God, I'm still ascending. It's not doing what I want it to do. Well, it is kind of to a point. I'm trying to slow down and go down. I have my speed brakes all the way out. I'm barely slowing down. Well, that's not a good example. Dang it. Yeah, normally it's harder to slow down the Airbus. So either this isn't realistic or I'm really light. Normally it's a lot harder to slow down. Start CFI training Monday. Any tips? Yeah, don't ever compare yourself to other people on CFI training. Make lesson plans for you. Your lesson plans for other people don't matter. You need to have a lesson plan that you can teach from. Don't worry about what other people have lesson plans from. Your lesson plan as a CFI, you should be able to look at your lesson plan, bounce off of it, and teach. Don't read your lesson plan verbatim. And it's going to suck. All right, so I'm below. This is my max flap speed here. My airline requires me to be max flap speed minus 10 knots and descending. So I'm going to go to flaps 1 now. Flaps 1, life is good. And I'm still slowing down. Time to gear down? No, it's too early for gear. Way too early for gear. I'm still 18 miles away. Are taxiways accurate on X-Plane? They're pretty accurate. Good afternoon, Echo Sierra Actual. How difficult would it be to go to the captain's seat? I could do it if I had to. I do use my iPad for taxiing. Yes, I use both the iPad and outside. Hey, iDoc Joe. I'm getting the hang of this Twitch thing. All right, so I'm still 16 miles out. It said maintain 210 to Honda, 180 to GG. It's very common. 210 to Honda and 180 to GG. But I'm right on the glide slope. But I'm not. I'm still gonna descend via. And there's a reason why I'm not arming the approach mode yet. On certain days at certain temperatures and pressures, the glide slope might bring me below this altitude here at Honda. And there could be a VFR corridor, VFR aircraft below this. I don't want to go below that speed, that altitude at Honda. The picture in the background at top and bottom is a random it's a picture from Lima, Peru. You just can't see it. It's a pink plane behind there. You just can't see it. All right. My Twitch username is exact same username. Geek on the flight deck. All right. And so there's my 210 to Honda. Now it's 180 to GG. I'm still 13 miles out. I'm putting my speed brakes all the way out. Full speed brakes. My favorite landing is hold on. What's the blue dots on the display? The blue dots. That's water. That's water. I have on my terrain radar. Favorite landing is San Diego or St. Martin. All right, so I'm still not slowing down enough. So I'm gonna do gear down because I need to start slowing down to configuring, right? So gear down. I can now do flaps 2. Once I'm at flaps 2, if I go to flaps 3, I can no longer use speed brakes. My speed brakes only work flaps 2 or less. All right. I'm gonna close my speed brakes. Gear is down. I'm gonna go ahead and arm approach mode. And my airline, we arm both autopilots, even for any ILS approach for redundancy. All right. I'm gonna pause answering questions just so I get this right. I don't want to screw it up with 59 people watching me, plus people on TikTok. All right, I'm 1.7 miles from GG. I'm flaps 2. I'm doing the glass open localizer. I'll say set mesh approach altitude. In LA, it's 2,000 feet. Okay, and that's the outside of the airplane. Life is good. The graphics aren't as good as on X-Plane, but the flight dynamics are fantastic. All right. I have met GG. I'm going to go ahead and go to manage speed. I'm 10 knots below the next flap speed, so I'm going to go to flaps 3. Flaps 3 is my final set of flaps, as I briefed earlier. I'm going to arm my speed brakes, and then I'm going to say flaps 3 before landing checklist. The captain will say before landing checklist, altimeters 2991, 1740, 1740. So we're comparing our altimeters to make sure that they're correct. Engine mode is normal, and engine mode is indeed normal. Landing gear, down 3 green, and ECAM memo, landing no blue. Before landing checklist is complete. Life is good. Alright. Winds are 230 at 9, quartering headwind, stable. I will post this onto YouTube, yes. And once I'm on the ground, I'll answer all the other questions, just so I don't screw this up. Alright. So I'll go ahead and turn all pots coming off, autopilot's off, and the triple click means the plane has reduced its capability. It was a Cat 3 dual, now it's a Cat 1 as far as the airplane capability. I'm doing a Cat 1 landing, and that makes sense. Life is good. Doing the Airbus at 50 feet, I think about flaring. At 40 feet, I'm like, I should flare soon. At 30 feet, on an average day, I begin my flare. At between 30 and 20 feet, I begin my thrust reduction. By 10 feet, most of the time, my thrust is totally at idle. But I do nothing. 500 stable, target sinking 800 feet. That's just a call my airline does. 2 red, 2 white, life is good. Again, I'm not changing anything at all. I'm staying right on the glide slope. Life is good.
300. 100 above.
And once it's done, I'll do a replay of my landing from the outside.
Minimum.
And I'm going to leave everything as it is until I get lower. Push down this a little bit.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 10.
And
Rise.
a little high. There we go. Down. Full reverse. I'm using medium auto brakes. This is easier. Then I'll brakes are off. 80 knots. 60 knots to idle. Come to a stop on the runway. I'm going to set my parking brake just because I'm here. Then I can do a rewind and see just how that looks from the outside. And then I'll answer questions on the Twitch. So my airline requires me to land in the touchdown zone. This will be a slow-mo video here. Touchdown zone is all the markings you see. This is 500 feet, 1,000 feet, 15. Every marking is 500 feet apart. So my aiming point is 1,000-foot markers. Let's see how I did. I know I went past them because I was trying to have a decent landing. So I'm just kind of hanging out in ground effect. Well, it's a little bit less than ground effect, yeah. Coming down, but I am on the center line of the runway. Pretty lined up. A little bit to the right, but close enough for government work. Coming down and down. Not too bad. Not too bad. On the wing flex, and then I'm into reverse. These are translating cowls. On the CFMs, they're buckets that pop out. And that is the landing. In real life, I'll go ahead and end replay mode. In real life, what happens is the captain clears the runway. Once the aircraft is clear of the runway, the captain will say, flaps up. That's my trigger. I go down here. I turn off the TCAS back to standby. The flaps go up. The speed brake comes disarmed. I turn off the predicted wind shear. And then I reach up and I start the APU. And I call ground. I talk to tower anyway. So whenever you hear ATC in the pilots, if we're on the ground, it's almost always the first officer talking to the ATC on the ground. And that is it. Getting caught up on the questions. A 737 captain I know pulls the gear down 25 miles out, so they don't have to worry about it anymore. That's weird. I waste a lot of fuel. We posted on YouTube when I'm done. Why don't you make the game full screen instead of black borders? I don't know how to do full screen. Oh, I can't do full screen because I'm on a widescreen monitor. I believe because I can see if I can change that. But my monitor is super widescreen. So I don't think I can make it full screen. Woo! Hideout there. Uh-oh. I'm touching, but I might have to play with that. iDoc Joe. Oh, hold on. Chat. Uh-oh. Wait a second. Crap. I don't know how to get out where I am now. I shouldn't click on things. No, I'm here. Click off that. 1 second. Cancel. That. No. Oh, what did I do? I can't see anything anymore. Save. Alright, I'll play with that later on. I think I'm on a widescreen monitor. The blue dots are the water. Favorite landing is St. Martin or San Diego. There you go. Why do sports only come out if the engine is idle? That's just a. They only come out. Well, it's just if they aren't at idle, we don't want to put spoilers out while we're not at idle. It's just in case we have to go around. Do the speed brakes physically don't work after flaps 2? No, they don't work. After flaps 2, they don't work anymore. This will be on YouTube tonight. Yes. Thank you very much, The Rave. Nice landing, thank you. I did my oral for my commercial instrument today, 141. Couldn't fly because it was 200 overcast. It happens. Alt R is binding for replay. Thank you. What do you reference for maintaining center line? And maintaining center line is a little odd, and new captains screw up a lot because they're so it's just like when you're driving. When you're driving in a car, you pretend that the center of the road is coming between your legs. Same thing for maintaining center line. I'm pretending that this center line is coming down between my legs. Geek gonna get Twitch famous? Nah. I just like helping people out and showing what I do because I love what I do. I hope you all enjoyed this. I will put this on my TikTok. I'm going to do some dad stuff now. I'll be alive tomorrow morning maybe if I don't get a flight. Otherwise, you all have a fabulous day. If you ever want to have a question about aviation, I answer every question that gets sent to me. You can look at me, look me up on Instagram, same username, or you can email me if you want. It's just Darren at DarrenBird.com. You do have to have your instrument. No, you don't have. You can have a VFR commercial. You can get your commercial first and then instrument. Yes, you can. You can get a VFR commercial if you want to. Have a fabulous day. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you all next time. You're very welcome. All right, and done with that. Also in my recording. Oh, I'll get you on Instagram. Yes, and on TikTok. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Woo! And recording. You're very welcome.